Welcome. Greetings, young Jedi. Hello there.
Hey everyone, Hybrid Toy Reviews here, and today we are taking a look at the Star Wars Micro Galaxy Squadron TIE Reaper as it appears in Rogue One. This is one of many TIE variants to have been created for Rogue One, a Imperial set movie days before A New Hope, and it's a really, really cool design. This one retails for $40 or $45, but it was actually a Cyber Monday special at Walmart for $9 and change, and I just hadn't picked it up yet, and when I saw it for $9, I knew I couldn't pass, so I did a little in-store pickup action on it. I'm really amped to get into it. This is a Micro Galaxy ship, and we've reviewed many a Micro Galaxy ship. However, this one is the first one to feature a missile firing option. I don't know my total thoughts on that. I kind of prefer these as showpieces. I'm not super worried about whether they have features or not. However, we're going to take a look at it, see if it's at least hidden and doesn't really, draw a lot of attention to it. Maybe it's something that can be done in a fun way that doesn't actually distract from the shelf presence of the thing. So, all that said, let's go ahead, take a look at the packaging, and get into a review to see if this is a toy for you. And here's the TIE Reaper in the box. This is a larger than standard Micro Galaxy Squadron box, being a deluxe vehicle that's a little larger than standard. But it has a ginormous window showing the vehicle and the accessories, well, being the 3 included Death Troopers and the 2 missiles. You have your Star Wars logo, Rogue One up here in the little white box with your Jazzwares J, a little image of the Reaper flying there, Micro Galaxy Squadron logo with the silver foil, Series 3, silver strip with TIE Reaper on it. This side features your Micro Galaxy logo, your wraparound window, your Star Wars name there again. This side features some really cool art of it flying over the Battle of Scarif with the TIE Striker there. We'll compare that in the ship comparison segment. Around back, you have a hologram of the vehicle with the cutout card, and then some images just telling you about the features that it has, the opening doors and the landing gears and such. And we will get into all those as we go through the review. Barcode and legal stuff underneath, and Star Wars Micro Galaxy Squadron logos up top with a little wraparound window there. So very, very nice shelf presentation. On the shelf, it does look like a very fun toy. So with that said, let's open it up and see what we're getting here. Here's the TIE Reaper in landed mode, so let's go ahead and start by taking a look at some of the figures. Go ahead and scoot it back just a little bit. You have 3 figures, 2 unique ones here. This one is the Death Trooper Commander. He's got his little pauldron thing going on there, a couple of straps and grenades sculpted onto his chest. He's in all black glossy plastic with just a couple little punches of silver on the front, none on the back. Like any Micro Galaxy figure, you can swivel his arms and legs, put him in like a seated position, and he works out pretty well. Setting him aside, you get 2 standard Death Troopers. So these guys have the silver on the belt and otherwise are just in the armor. There's no sculpted grenades, no pauldron or anything, just a trooper. And he looks pretty good, I will say, rotating him around. Again, standard articulation, swivel at the arms and at the hips, like so. Setting those aside, they come with 2 missiles. These are in a very nice lime green color. They capture light very nicely. They are slightly rounded, but almost blunted at the tips. There's some sculpted in, like, ridges here at the base, and then that is, like, where it would catch inside the mechanism. And I will show you how these work. So, grabbing the vehicle, I'm going to open the wings up to a flight mode just to have them out of the way. But you see there's a hole there and a hole there. And you push the missiles in until they click, like so. And, as you see, a lot of the missile sticks out. I don't really like that. I wish they were a little bit more recessed, so I don't think I'll be displaying them with the missiles ready to fire like this, but underneath there are these 2 gunmetal gray sections here, and they are the buttons, and they actually fire with some pretty good force, and so as to not lose them, I'm going to set them aside for right now. Now, putting that back into the landed type position, setting it down, I think it is time to take a look at the TIE Reaper. It has all the standard things you would expect from any TIE variant. It has nice long wings that have like the solar panel effects going on them. They look very, very nice, very, very TIE fightery. And then otherwise, It is an elongated body, as this is a troop carrier. It has some landing gear, which I have open now, so these fold in like such to be closed. And then the ramp is actually the front landing gear, so it locks into place when it's down. This is when the troopers are deploying on the beach. It doesn't quite land, but the landing gear comes down, you know, it comes down to the beach, they run out, and then it takes off, and I think it gets shot down immediately. But to open it, you have these pistons here, and you just gotta squeeze them together a little bit to release it. You push it back in, and it clacks, you know, it clicks in, and it is very, very tightly secured at that point. I get my thumbnail in there, and it takes a lot to get it to drop down, so it's a little annoying, you know, that you have to use so much force. Honestly, it was so hard to get down at first. My first opening, I had to go and just grab a butter knife and jam it in there to get a little leverage, and shouldn't have to do that, but after that, it became possible through thumbnails and brute force. So it has the feature where the wings fold into a flight mode, and the flight mode is truly like that, but the one on this side, I can get to go way higher up, and this side, it feels like I would really have to force it to do that. So I feel like there's a quality control thing, so I just bring it down to match. There's a little D10 it pops into there, but on this side, it does just go way too far, way too easily. But it does look good in flight mode. The wings kind of look like they're carrying, you know, the body, almost like the body's like a pod that could be deployed or something. Of course, it's not quite how it works. And then interesting design is there's actually a connection between the wings and the back, and then you can actually see like light through in there. So it's like this section of wing is just purely floating, and it's just an interesting design. They have some nice light blue paint in the engines to give the impression of them being lit up and ioning away. And it looks really, really good. In here, of course, you can see without the darts in the launchers, like, they don't really catch your eye in any negative way, which is nice. Folding the wings down to a closed mode, I'll show you the interior of the vehicle. It does have some nice interior spaces, so here in this back area, there are 2 tabs that you can lift up. To do the front one, you can pull that away, and it reveals 6 seats with catches to hold the figures in them. And then actually there is a little access to the ramp right there. So if you were to open the ramp down below, see, like I said, I'm having to take like a lot of force. You have that open, you can actually see just a little bit of light coming in from underneath. And, you know, that ramp doesn't quite drop down low enough to actually get anything like through it. I guess you could like push a figure through it and, you know, get them to deploy, but like it's just not quite tall enough, you know, in the scale of the figures. But we'll close that up. It is nice that it does give you a hole through. There is an opening cockpit which hinges up and has 2 seats in there and some control yokes and stuff, and so your figures can be nicely secured in there. And then the back area underneath, those are 4 actual like translucent windows in there, and then you can pop that roof off, and there's 1 clip that would hold a figure there like standing, and then you see there's like engine details and stuff. It's like a maintenance room, and it is really, really cool in there, I gotta say. So I do like how that ultimately works. I will say on the figure front, you know, I've said I don't really want to buy a lot of these if they're like shorting you a lot of figures. I do feel like for the $40, $45 price point, you really aren't getting enough here. And I feel like, because this is like a troop deploying vehicle, I feel like the Death Troopers should all be getting deployed. I really wish they would have thrown in at least 1, preferably 2 TIE pilots, just to kind of permanently leave in the cockpit, and then put the Death Troopers in here. They're getting ready to go on their mission. So I do think there's like a glaring omission of some pilots here, which is frustrating. But I think it'll look all right just on the shelf as is too. You get it all closed up. At least the cockpit, like, yes, you can kind of see through that translucent red, but at least the cockpit is objectively sealed, so at least you can't like notice they're missing in there. So it's kind of like the one saving grace of the whole thing, I will say. The rear landing gears are really easy to swing out, and yeah, just like so. I have it in landing mode, and getting it landed, it looks pretty good. So here it is next to the Rebel U-Wing. It was definitely interesting having Rogue One give us both factions' versions of a troop carrier. And they're actually, you know, when you really compare them side by side, the Reaper's definitely a little bit wider, a little bit bulkier, but they're not objectively that different in size. I guess the body of the U-Wing compared to the body of the Reaper is where you really get a lot of your differences. But yeah, they're generally similar in scale, which is interesting. And then setting the U-Wing off to the side, here's the Reaper next to the Striker that I recently reviewed. I will say I'm still not generally very pleased with this one, but they do look nice next to each other. They do feature a similar profile with the wings, and they definitely are complementary towards one another. And then here they are next to the Imperial Troop Transport, being just a different type of troop transport, being this one really rolls along the ground, whereas this one's more of an air-based one. And then, just for fun, the X-Wing mold that we've had all the way since Wave 1, just to give you an idea that it is, in fact, significantly larger. So, end of the day, what do I think of the TIE Reaper? You know, it's interesting. It's definitely, like, a very insignificant ship in the grand scheme of things. I think you see it for a couple of seconds, like, twice in the Scarif battle in Rogue One, and we haven't really seen it many other places. I was talking with Vincent of Carbonites. Go check out Carbonites at some point. Always got to shout out Carbonites. And he mentioned that the Ninth Sister traveled in it in the Jedi Fallen Order. And, yeah, memory foggy there, but I believe it, and, you know, being a larger character, needing a larger type of carrier. But, yeah, you know, it's just not something that's had a grand amount of screen time, and it would be cool if it appeared in more things going forward. I will say that is kind of like, I'm a Star Wars fan, meaning I actually do stand up for most media that comes out. The one thing that feels like a downfall of the last several years has been, like, they've introduced a ton of different stormtroopers, a ton of different TIE fighters, and they appear for a couple minutes in the media that they're from, and then they never get borrowed into anything else. It's kind of what made it really, really cool when The Mandalorian and Andor used the Shore Troopers after they didn't show up in anything for, like, 5 years. Like, you made a new design. Use them, you know? Same with the Death Troopers appearing in other things. So, it's always cool to see these things make a comeback, and I look forward to seeing the TIE Reaper somewhere in the future of the galaxy far, far away. And, yeah, do I recommend it? If it catches your eye, you know. Obviously, I had to be enticed by a $9 Cyber Monday special, so that might ultimately speak to the grand nature of my feelings on the vehicle. But to me, it's just, like, not the most iconic thing. So if it's not for you, it's not for you. If you got it on that Cyber Monday deal, let me know in the comments below. I think that's where a lot of people will be adding this one to the collection. May the Force be with everyone. I hope you all have a good time, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.